My name's Calvin Fisher, 38, ex-Army sniper, discharged for smashing a colonel's face. I didn't regret it, but it left me with nothing. My truck rattled to a stop at the watchtower on Navajo land, the Arizona mesa red and empty. The tower was a concrete splinter, 30 feet high, with a rusted ladder to a cramped room. A fence circled a mile out, lined with salt that shimmered like teeth in the fading sun. It felt wrong, like a warning carved into the earth. I grabbed my duffel, the weight steadying me, and climbed. The room was tight. Cot, desk, ancient radio, a bulb flickering like it was nervous. A cracked telescope sat on the deck outside, staring at the desert. An envelope waited, my name in Lieutenant McCrae's scrawl. I tore it open. Stay inside. Do not respond to voices. Scan the desert every hour with the telescope. No reasons, just orders. I leaned my rifle against the wall, my hands restless. The silence was heavy, like the air was holding its breath. I checked my watch, 2:30 p.m. 4 hours until my first scan. I unpacked, canteens, MREs, a worn photo of my sister Ellie, from before she wrote me off. This job was my last chance, McCrae's sensitive gig to keep me afloat. The tower felt like a cage. By 4 p.m., the sky bruised purple, the air biting. I climbed to the deck, the wind slicing through my jacket. The telescope was cold, its lens scratched but sharp. I scanned the desert, seeing only sand and thorns. Nothing moved. Not a bird, not a snake. It was too quiet. I locked the door, the bolt scraping loud. The radio crackled at 5 p.m., so sudden I spilled my coffee. "Fisher, you copy?" McCrae's voice was sharp, cutting through static. "Yeah, I'm here. What's this place about?" Static hissed, long and slow. "Just do your job. Stay inside. Don't respond to voices." He cut off before I could ask more. Don't respond to voices? My stomach knotted. I'd seen ugly things in war, but this was different. The tower felt alive, watching me. I sat on the cot, staring at the radio. My hand drifted to my rifle, the metal cold and real. I told myself it was just the isolation. I was wrong. 6 p.m., first scan. The sky was black now, stars like pinpricks. I leaned into the telescope, my breath fogging. The salt circle glowed under the moon, like it was daring something. I scanned slow, my heart thumping too loud. Sand, rock, nothing. A shadow flicked at the lens's edge. I swung the telescope back. Nothing there, but I swear something moved. The wind whispered, too soft to make out. The tower creaked below, like it was settling. I gripped the railing, my pulse racing. Something was out there. I stood frozen on the deck, the telescope cold against my cheek. That shadow I saw, or thought I saw, haunted me, like a ghost just out of reach. The desert was still, the salt circle glowing under the moon, but my gut screamed something was wrong. I climbed down, my boots heavy on the ladder, and locked the door behind me. The room felt smaller, the bulb dimmer. I checked my watch. 8 p.m. Hours to go before I could sleep, if I even could. I sat on the cot, rifle across my lap, listening to the wind howl like it was angry. Something scraped outside. I stopped breathing. It was faint, like claws on concrete, circling the tower's base. I gripped my rifle, my palms sweaty, and crept to the window. The salt circle was untouched, but the shadows beyond it seemed thicker, moving in ways they shouldn't. It's just the wind, I told myself. But my hands shook. The scraping stopped. Silence pressed in, heavier than before. I backed away from the window, my eyes darting to the door. The bolt was locked, but it felt flimsy, like it couldn't stop whatever was out there. Around 10 p.m., the radio hissed, loud and sudden. I jumped, nearly dropping my rifle. "Fisher, you there?" McCrae's voice crackled, sharp and impatient. "Yeah, I'm here. Something's outside, McCrae." A long pause. "Do not let them see you look away." My heart skipped. "What does that mean? What's out there?" The radio went dead. I slammed the mic down, cursing. McCrae's words looped in my head, each one heavier than the last. "Don't let them see you look away?" I climbed to the deck, my legs unsteady. The telescope was where I left it, the desert dark beyond the salt circle. I leaned in, scanning slow, my breath shallow. Nothing but sand and rock, same as before. Then I saw him. McCrae stood just outside the salt circle, his silhouette sharp against the moonlight. He was in his uniform, hands in his pockets, staring up at the tower. My blood went cold. McCrae was in Texas, he told me himself. I blinked, and he was still there, unmoving. His face was wrong, too pale, too still, like a mask. I grabbed the radio, my voice shaking. "McCrae, that you out there?" No answer. I looked again. He hadn't moved, but his head was tilted now, like he heard me. My mouth went dry. I swung the telescope away, then back, hoping it was a trick of the light. He was closer. Not by much, maybe a step, but he hadn't crossed the salt. His eyes glinted, catching the moon like a coyote's. I stumbled back, my rifle clattering against the railing. My mind raced. Call him again. Shoot? Run, I called out, my voice cracking. Who are you? The wind swallowed my words. He didn't move, didn't blink. I forced myself to look through the telescope again, my hands trembling. He was gone. The desert was empty, the salt circle unbroken. My chest heaved, my pulse pounding in my ears. I scanned again, left to right, desperate for answers. Nothing. I sank to my knees, the cold deck biting through my jeans. McCrae's warning echoed, "Don't let them see you look away." Had I looked too long? Not long enough? What was he? The tower creaked below, louder than before. I grabbed my rifle and climbed down, locking the door. The room felt wrong now, like the walls were listening. I checked my watch, 12:07 a.m. I didn't sleep. I sat with my back to the wall, rifle ready, waiting for the scraping to start again. It didn't, but I knew something was still out there, watching. Morning came slow, the sun crawling over the mesa like it didn't want to be here. I hadn't slept, my eyes burning from staring at the door all night, rifle heavy in my hands. That thing pretending to be McCrae was gone, but the tower felt different, like it was holding its breath. I checked my watch, 9 a.m. A truck's engine growled outside. I jumped, my heart slamming against my ribs. I peered through the window, careful not to touch the glass. A battered pickup stopped just inside the salt circle, dust swirling around it. An old man climbed out, his face lined like cracked earth. He wore a denim jacket and a wide-brimmed hat, his eyes sharp despite his age. I unlocked the door, rifle still in hand, and stepped onto the deck. He looked up, unafraid. "You Calvin Fisher?" His voice was rough, like gravel. "Yeah, who are you?" "Chief Asa Yazzie, Navajo. You need to listen." My stomach twisted. I didn't trust strangers, not after last night, but something in his eyes made me pause, like he'd seen worse than I had. I climbed down the ladder, my boots crunching on the sand. He didn't step closer. "You shouldn't be here. This place ain't for you." I gripped my rifle tighter. "Got orders. I'm staying." He shook his head, slow and sad. "They're coming for you. They know your name." My blood ran cold. "Who's coming?" "What do you know?" Asa's eyes flicked to the salt circle, then back to me. "This tower's old t'ain't just a watchpost. It's a cage, for things older than us." I swallowed hard. McCrae's face in the desert flashed in my mind, those glinting eyes. I wanted to call Asa crazy, but after last night, I couldn't. My hands shook, the rifle suddenly heavy. "Leave by midnight," he said, or you won't leave at all. My throat tightened. I can't just run. This is my job. Asa's face hardened. Your job's a lie. You're not guarding anything. You're bait. Bait. My chest tightened. I thought of McCrae's voice, the radio's static, the thing outside the salt circle. Was I set up? I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but Asa's eyes held no lies. Why me? I whispered. They like the broken ones, he said. Ones with nothing left. My knees buckled. I'd lost my career, my family, my pride. Was that why I was here? To feed something I didn't understand? Midnight, Asa repeated, or they'll take you. He turned and walked to his truck. The engine roared, and he was gone, dust swallowing him. I stood there, alone again. The salt circle seemed to pulse, like it was mocking me. I climbed back to the tower, my legs heavy. The room felt colder, the bulb dimmer. I locked the door, but it didn't help. Asa's words burned in my head. Bait. They know your name. I wanted to believe he was wrong, but deep down, I didn't. I checked my watch. 10 a.m., 14 hours until midnight. I sat on the cot, rifle across my knees, staring at the radio. Should I call McCrae, demand the truth, or was he part of this? I didn't know what to do. The desert was silent, but it wasn't empty. Something was waiting, and it knew I was here. I sat on the cot, rifle across my knees, Asa's words clawing at my brain. Bait. They know your name. The tower felt like a trap, the walls too close, the air too thin. I checked my watch. 10:15 a.m. I needed answers. The desk drawer rattled when I yanked it open. Inside was a logbook, leather-bound and dusty, its pages yellowed. I flipped it open, expecting routine entries, maybe names of other suckers who'd sat here. The first page stopped me cold. My handwriting stared back, neat and unmistakable. Calvin Fisher, October 12th, 2025. Something moved outside the salt circle. Don't trust the radio. My hands shook. I hadn't written this. Today was October 10th. I turned the page. More entries, all mine, dated weeks ahead. October 15th. The voices know my sister's name. Don't answer. October 20th. I shot it, but it didn't bleed. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it. The words described things I hadn't done, places I hadn't been. How was this possible? I kept reading, my throat tight. One entry, dated November 1st, was just 2 lines. It's wearing my face now. I'm not me anymore. The pen had dug into the paper, like I'd been scared when I wrote it, or something else had. I slammed the book shut. My breath came fast, too fast. I checked the door, still locked. The radio sat silent, but I didn't trust it. Asa's warning mixed with the logbook's words, twisting my thoughts. Was I losing my mind? I opened the book again, slower this time. An entry from October 13th. Asa came back, begged me to leave. I didn't listen. He was dead by morning. My stomach dropped. Asa was alive when he left an hour ago. Or was he? I stood, pacing the tiny room. The logbook felt heavy, like it was pulling me into something I couldn't escape. I wanted to burn it, but my hands wouldn't let go. Another entry caught my eye, dated tonight. It stood outside the circle. I looked too long. My knees buckled. I sank onto the cot, the book open in my lap. Every entry felt like a warning, but they didn't make sense. Why was my handwriting here? Was I writing this in the future, or was something else using my hand? The bulb flickered. I froze, my eyes on the ceiling. It flickered again, then steadied. The air felt colder, like the tower was breathing with me. I checked my watch. 2 p.m. hours had passed. I hadn't noticed. I shoved the logbook back in the drawer, but its words stuck in my head. I grabbed my rifle, needing something solid. The desert outside was still, the salt circle untouched, but I didn't believe it was safe. Should I leave? Asa said. Midnight was my last chance. But abandoning my post meant giving up the only job I had left. Ellie's photo sat on the desk, her smile accusing me of failing again. I couldn't run. Not yet. By 6 p.m., the sky was darkening, the mesa swallowing the sun. I climbed to the deck, the telescope waiting like an old friend. I didn't want to look, but the logbook's warnings pushed me. I had to know. The desert was empty. For now. I leaned into the telescope, my hand steady, but my heart racing. The salt circle glowed, its edges sharp. I scanned slow, left to right, waiting for something to break the silence. Nothing did, but the logbook's words wouldn't leave me. It stood outside the circle. I looked too long. I pulled away from the telescope, my breath fogging in the cold. What had I already done wrong? I stood on the deck, the telescope's lens reflecting my own scared eyes. The logbook's words, "I looked too long," burned in my head, making every shadow feel alive. The desert was dark, the salt circle a pale ring under the moon. I checked my watch. 9 p.m. I didn't want to look again, but I had to. I leaned into the telescope, my hands slick with sweat. The desert was still, too still, like it was waiting. A figure stood outside the salt circle. My breath caught. It was me, same jacket, same boots, same tired slouch, staring up at the tower. My face, but wrong, like a photo left in the sun too long. My knees went weak. Was this what the logbook meant? I stumbled back, the telescope wobbling. My rifle was inside, but my legs wouldn't move. The figure didn't blink, its eyes locked on me, glinting like glass. I forced myself to look again, praying it was gone. It hadn't moved, but its mouth twitched, almost a smile. I ran inside, slamming the door. My hands shook as I grabbed the radio. "McCrae, you there? There's something out there. It looks like me." Static crackled, then his voice, calm as ever. "You've already let it in." My heart stopped. "What? I didn't let anything in." No answer. The radio went dead. I threw the mic down, my chest heaving. Let it in? The door was locked, the windows shut. I checked them anyway, my boots loud in the quiet. The bulb flickered. I froze, my eyes on the ceiling. It flickered again, casting shadows that didn't match my own. The air felt heavy, like someone else was breathing. I grabbed my rifle, my back to the wall. Had I looked too long, like the logbook said? I crept to the window, peering out. The figure was still there, closer now, just outside the salt circle. Its head tilted like it knew I was watching. My stomach churned. I hadn't opened anything, hadn't invited it in. Or had I? I thought of the radio, McCrae's voice, the logbook. Was I talking to myself this whole time? My mind spun, memories of last night blurring, McCrae's face, the scraping, the shadow. I wanted to scream, to shoot something, anything. "Get out of my head!" I yelled. The figure didn't flinch. Its smile widened, showing too many teeth. I backed away, my rifle raised, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I couldn't shoot myself, could I? The logbook's words hit me. I'm not me anymore. Was this what it meant? Was that thing me, or something wearing my skin? I sank onto the cot, my head in my hands. I'd messed up. But how? I checked my watch. 9:30 p.m. 2.5 hours until midnight, Asa's deadline. I could still run, leave this cursed place behind. But where would I go? No job, no family. Ellie wouldn't even take my calls. The bulb dimmed, then brightened. I stood, my rifle tight in my grip. The figure was still out there. I could feel it. I climbed to the deck, forcing myself to face it. The telescope was cold, my breath fogging the lens. It was closer, right at the salt circle's edge. Its eyes weren't mine. They were empty, like holes. I pulled away, my heart hammering. The logbook, McCrae, Asa, they all warned me, and I'd ignored them. What had I let in? I locked the door again, my hands clumsy. The tower felt smaller, the walls pressing in. I sat with my rifle, staring at the door, waiting for midnight. Something was already here. I sat with my back to the wall, rifle aimed at the door, my pulse loud in my ears. The thing outside, my double, was still there. Its empty eyes burned into my mind. The tower was too quiet, like it was waiting for something to break. I checked my watch. 11 p.m. Footsteps crunched outside. My breath hitched. They were slow, deliberate, crossing the salt circle like it was nothing. I gripped my rifle, my knuckles white, and crept to the window. A figure stood below, wearing McCrae's face, but its eyes were canine, yellow, and sharp. It wasn't McCrae. It was something else. I stumbled back, my heart hammering. The logbook's words, It's wearing my face, mixed with Asa's warning about things older than us. I raised my rifle, aiming through the glass, and fired. The shot echoed, but the bullets passed through it like smoke. It didn't even flinch. The figure tilted its head, its lips curling into a smile. "Calvin," it said, in my voice, but warped, like a bad recording. "You're late." My skin crawled. It knew what I was going to say before I did. "You're not real," I whispered. It laughed, a sound like bones grinding. "October 12th, 2026. That's when you die." My blood froze. "Next year." It stepped closer, its boots silent on the sand. How did it know? I backed away, my rifle useless. The bulb flickered, casting its shadow across the walls. Too long. Too wrong. "Who do you think you've been talking to?" it asked, mimicking my voice perfectly. I thought of the radio, McCrae's orders, the static. I grabbed the radio, my hands shaking. "McCrae, answer me!" Nothing but my own voice echoed back, looped and distorted. I dropped the mic, my chest tight. I'd been talking to it all along. The door rattled, like something was testing it. I shoved the cot against it, my arms burning. The thing outside laughed again, low and wet. "You let me in," it said, its voice now Ellie's, soft and accusing. My heart broke. "Ellie?" I choked out, knowing it wasn't her. The logbook, the radio, my double, it was all this thing, playing me like a puppet. I sank to the floor, my rifle clattering. I'd failed everyone. Ellie, Asa, myself. Why was I chosen? The bulb went out. Darkness swallowed the room, thick and alive. I fumbled for my flashlight, but it wouldn't turn on. The air smelled wrong, like rot and wet fur. I pressed myself against the wall, blind. It was inside. I held my breath, listening. The footsteps were gone, but I felt it watching, its presence heavy. My hands found the logbook in the drawer, its pages cold. I didn't need light to know what it said. I'm not me anymore. I'd already lost. The clock ticked. 12:30 a.m. Midnight had passed. Asa's warning was too late. I stood, my legs shaking, and grabbed my rifle. I had to get out, even if it meant facing that thing. I pushed the cot aside. The door was unlocked. My stomach dropped. I hadn't touched it. I stepped onto the deck, the desert silent, the salt circle gone. The figure stood below, now wearing my face, its eyes hollow. "You can't leave," it said, in my voice. I aimed my rifle, my hand steady for the first time. I fired, knowing it wouldn't work. The thing just smiled, its teeth sharp. I turned and ran, down the ladder, into the dark. The tower was all I had left, and it wasn't mine anymore. I ran into the desert, my boots sinking into sand, the night swallowing me whole. The Skinwalker's voice, my voice, echoed in my head. "You can't leave." My rifle was heavy, useless against that thing, but I clutched it like a lifeline. The tower's shadow faded behind me, but I felt its eyes, those hollow holes, watching. The salt circle was gone. My heart lurched. The desert stretched endless. No fence, no line, just sand and stars. I spun around, searching for the tower, but it was gone, like it had never been there. My breath came in gasps, fogging in the cold. Where was I? I kept running, my legs burning, my chest tight. The ground felt wrong, too soft, like it was pulling me down. I tripped, sprawling into the sand, my rifle skittering away. I scrambled for it, my hands shaking, but the desert was silent, mocking me. Something moved ahead. I froze, my eyes straining in the dark. A shape stood in the distance, tall and wrong, wearing my face. It held a radio, its lips moving, my voice crackling through the air. "I've got eyes on the target. It's me." My blood turned to ice. I stood, my legs wobbling, and backed away. The Skinwalker didn't follow, just watched, its smile too wide, its eyes too empty. I turned and ran again, sand choking my lungs, but every step felt the same, like I was circling back. The desert looped. I stopped, panting, my hands on my knees. The stars were wrong, too bright, too close, like they were staring. I walked, then ran, then walked again, but the scenery didn't change. Just sand, sky, and that thing in the distance, always there, always me. I was trapped. I sank to the ground, my rifle useless beside me. The logbook's words came back. "I'm not me anymore." Asa's warning, McCrae's voice, the radio. It was all the Skinwalker, playing me from the start. I'd never had a chance. Why me? I thought of Ellie, her photo in the tower, her smile I'd never see again. I'd failed her, failed myself, broken by my own choices long before this place. The Skinwalker chose me because I was already lost, bait for its game. I wiped my eyes, my hands gritty with sand. I couldn't give up. I stood, my legs heavy, and picked up my rifle. The Skinwalker was closer now, standing where the tower should have been, its radio silent. I walked toward it, my fear turning to anger. If I was bait, I'd make it choke. Calvin, it said, my voice soft, almost sad. I raised my rifle, my hands steady. You're not me. It laughed, a sound like breaking glass. You sure? Its face shifted, flickering between mine, McCrae's, Ellie's, then back to mine. I fired, the shot swallowed by the desert. Useless. It stepped closer. I didn't run. The air grew thick, the stars dimming. I swung my rifle like a club, but it passed through the thing like air. It grabbed my wrist, its touch cold as death, and leaned close, its breath sour. You're already gone, it whispered. Everything went black. I woke in sand, my rifle beside me, the sun rising red and angry. The tower was back, looming above me, the salt circle whole again. I stood, my body aching, and climbed the ladder, my hands numb. The room was empty, but the radio was on. My voice came through, clear and calm. Fisher, you copy? I stared at the mic, my reflection in the window not quite right, my eyes too empty, my smile too wide. I didn't answer. I sat on the cot, the logbook open to a new page, my handwriting fresh. October 11th, 2025. It's me now. The desert was silent, but I knew it wasn't empty. I was the Skinwalkers now, my place taken, my voice its own, and someone else would come.